So yeah, Kyle Kulinski on the Vaush live stream, and guess what they talked about? As you might expect, the Jimmy Dore versus TYT drama is come back once again. Time to rehash that for the seemingly millionth time. But yeah, I thought they both had some interesting things to say here, as well as some stuff that I just straight up disagree with that I want to respond to and react to. But yeah, let's take a look at this. We can just watch for a while and see what there is to talk about.
I'll turn it up 8 notches. Okay. So
let's do it
with Jimmy Dore. Mm-hmm. Now you strike me as a person who is extraordinarily what I'm trying to think of the most like honorable term for this. Like, you believe so much in people. I think you're an extraordinarily would it be good natured. You don't like instigating drama. There's a collection of terms that are valid here, but I think I never get the impression from you as somebody who likes bickering, I guess, with people around you. So it's no secret that I'm not a huge fan of Jimmy Dore. It's putting it very mildly, but I guess I'm interested in your thoughts on this. It seems, at least from my perspective, and the perspective of a lot of people online, I think, that Jimmy Dore has gone very much down the toilet in recent maybe 2 years, but sort of accelerating with time, where it's gone beyond a kind of I mostly criticize Democrats and more towards a just fastidious, borderline conspiratorial obsession with attacking everybody else on the left over anything that he can. Which is getting down to like practically Glenn Greenwald territory and like the direction that things have gone. Now, I'm not going to do anything cringe like asking you to denounce, but I am interested in your perspective, right? Like, do you just want to stay out of things? Do you think there's a glimmer of hope? What's your perspective on that?
So I have a lot to say about this, actually. Yeah. So first of all, I like to keep my circle tight, and I don't like to let a lot of people in. And what you're seeing now, what's going on with him, is a good reason why I wanted to keep my circle small, and why it was probably a mistake to get close to almost anybody in the industry.
So just to pause, I have to say that I agree with Kyle Kulinski there. I think that the biggest problem he ran into when he was trying to address this whole situation while it was going down and kind of give his opinion on it is that he was very close with the involved personnel. He was friends with Cenk, he was friends with Anna, he was friends with Jimmy at various points in his career. I think that he, was helped by those people. I think that they kind of, helped him in the industry. They helped him, with his visibility and all that stuff. So naturally, it's hard to criticize your friends. And when your friends are involved in a situation like this, it's, your instinct is just going to be to kind of stay out and inflict the least amount of damage as possible. So, I totally understand that.
So he was a good friend of mine, but also Cenk and Anna were good friends of mine as well. And now all of them have a burning, passionate hatred of me. And that all really stemmed from the fact that I felt like I was dragged into their fight. Now, I never, ever held back in terms of discussing my feelings on the politics of what they would argue about. So all my views were well known about all the different things that they would bicker over, whether it was Russiagate or whatever. But when I was really like, I'm staying the hell out of this, is when it got really personal between them. And again, you got to understand, from my perspective, since I know Cenk, I know Anna, I was close with Cenk, and I was close with Jimmy. So when I see it getting personal and ugly, man, I really feel like I'm stuck in the middle now. Any normal person in that situation, like, there was this expectation that I had for other reasonable people that, well, obviously, I don't want to get in the middle of the personal shit, right? Like, if you were fighting with some other creator and I knew you and the other creator really well, you wouldn't expect me to like hop in and white knight for you or some shit, because that's wholly unreasonable, right? Well, I was sort of dragged into giving my commentary on the entire feud between them. I did it begrudgingly, but again, I felt like my hand was forced. And so I told everybody exactly how I felt. And one of the reasons why, apart from the personal side of it, one of the reasons why I didn't want to tell everybody exactly how I felt is because I knew there was no political home for my take. I knew everybody would fucking disagree with it, because my take was actually relatively nuanced, in the sense that on the politics of the fight, I agreed much more with Jimmy, but on like the personal side of the fight, Jimmy was being a fucking dick. And so I had to say both of those things. And when you say both of those things, you're going to piss off the Dorites, and you're going to piss off TYT, and you're also going to piss off Jimmy himself, and you're also going to piss off Cenk and Anna. And so I basically lost every friendship that I had in this industry because I told people exactly how I felt about their fight. Now, on the politics of Jimmy, I will say I'm familiar with what's been going on with his channel, because I see bits and pieces that pop up on Twitter, but I haven't watched a single Jimmy Dore video or a single TYT video since the fight. I've totally excised them from my life. I literally haven't, spoken a word to any of them since then, because, by the way, behind the scenes, you can imagine both Jimmy and Cenk like personally blew up at me behind the scenes. And so, I mean, I'm a grown ass man.
So there's an interesting revelation. Apparently, not only did he take heat from the audiences respectively, but personally was blown up by Jimmy Dore and Cenk Uygur, both of whom obviously are big personalities, very passionate, and obviously have the ability to get worked up, get angry. So that's some interesting info coming from Kyle. I guess my ultimate response to this first part of it is like, yeah, I definitely sympathize with Kyle's instinct to not want to get involved with this whole drama. It wasn't really about policy. It wasn't about moving the movement forward. It was about petty personal stuff. Did Jimmy do? She said. Did Jimmy do this? Did he not? And it definitely got to the point where no, it was not productive in any real way. I guess my only criticism of Kyle's like, then why did you get involved in it? No one was literally forcing you to get involved. No one was literally forcing you to put out a take on this. So if it was so destructive as you predicted accurately, then why did you even take the bait? Why did you get involved? You shouldn't have said anything if you weren't prepared to deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah, I the only thing that he said, and actually I didn't get to this part in the stream, so this is all first time, information for me. I got to a little earlier, and then we had to go live ourselves. But anyway, I agree with what he says about nobody has to white knight for you, right? Like, I do agree with that. Like the Vanguard, we eat shit. I don't expect people that are friends with us to just go out there and spend their whole day on Twitter being like, fuck you, asshole. I kind of get that, I would never expect that somebody that I'm friends with is going to, go out and, destroy their media career, white knighting for me and like fucking, going balls to the wall. If they did it, that's some real homie shit. And I would be like, damn, dog, that's tight. But, you never expect that from somebody. Right. And so I do agree with what he's saying. Like, he thought that was going to be fair of him to just take that side and be like, look, Cenk and Jimmy are both two men that are just undeniably driven by egos, raging egos. So like, just stay out of it. The more he articulates himself on this, and the more I'm like, I understand his rationale for it, even if, that's not the philosophy that I necessarily adopt for our show.
And if you're going to act like that, and that's it, it's over. Like we're done. So obviously I left the TYT network and all that stuff. But in terms of Jimmy's politics, so what I've seen is there was a time when he would mostly criticize Democrats, and you got the sense it was from the left and it was to improve them. Then, over time, it slowly creeped up from like, okay, 70% of your commentary is going after the Democrats, 30% is going after the Republicans. Now it's like 80-20. Now it's like 90-10. And then it got to like 100% of the commentary is just like Democrats are bad. Now, if you have a platform, you have to realize, even if you think it's like, well, duh, the Republicans are bad, there might be some 14-year-old coming to your channel who doesn't think that's a duh, and all they see is you shitting on Democrats. And then you're sort of painting a misleading picture of the world. And then when it really got to a point where it was like, this is just sad now, is when the vaccine skepticism stuff started happening. That's when I saw the things on Twitter where it was like, here's his most recent however many videos, and like 60% of them or some shit were just like doubting the vaccine. And when I saw that, I was like, well, it's a good thing that all my ties are severed with everybody, because I do not want to be associated with that in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, yeah, okay, I follow that. I get that. I want to talk about the politics in a bit, but there was this weird thing where it felt like, now obviously this is inference on my part. We don't know what Jimmy Dore actually thinks or feels, but I followed your videos, or I saw them when they came out with regards to that dispute between Dore, Anna, and elsewise, and it felt like the fallout that came afterwards from either side was very different in the reasons that came about. Because with Anna and Cenk, it felt like they were under the impression that you were holding water for Dore because you were friends, or because right.
And then ask Jimmy how he feels about me.
Well, but the thing is, like with Jimmy, it felt like, because I can sympathize with Anna and Cenk's perspective, because I don't distinguish between political and personal when it comes to like Dore, with the harassment stuff with Anna. To me, it's categorically identical to any kind of advocacy for a policy position, because there is a kind of what would you call it, like a political normativity So
It
what
has to be said though. It has to be said though that he's like, for us, and guys, like we're comfortable being critical of Jimmy Dore. I'm not a simp here, okay? But it has to be said that you can't pretend that TYT had a fucking woke workplace, right? You can't pretend that Cenk Uygur was some stalwart defender of women and that Anna Kasparian never made any cringy comments about women. We remember the Britney Spears stuff that we pulled and reacted to. There were entire compilation videos of Cenk just saying vile shit. And then of course, Anna Kasparian tried to use it to blackmail the guy. That's not exactly the high road. You know what I mean? So Vaush is clearly already made up his mind about this argument. He's willing to be sympathetic to Cenk and Anna because he sees them as more reasonable actors in this situation. And it's completely jaded his entire commentary. So I do want to just, let that be known to everybody while we're listening to it, that's not lost on me and Gavin.
And yeah, I agree, Zach, especially because of the fact that not only Anna and Kyle, they defended Cenk Uygur himself when he was similarly, they tried to cancel him for his problematic blog posts. And I read those blog posts. Let me tell you, there was a lot more offensive stuff in them than nice news skirt. I mean, just to be honest, it was way cringier, way more misogynistic, way more problematic. And again, both Kyle and Anna roundly, defended Cenk Uygur in that instance and said this is ridiculous. So yeah, I agree.
I mean, Kyle's also said the N-word like 10 million times on Twitter for everybody to see. So much so that he said so many crazy things like this N-word hungry, like just real like racist shit, like just straight up. And like I'll be like, yes, Kyle, like you said you've repented and you don't hold those feelings and you know that this is wrong now. But like, let's not pretend that there's not an elephant in the room for every single one of these motherfuckers. Like, hello, you weren't like Cenk wasn't the only one that got kicked out of Justice Democrats for saying some cringy shit. I'm just saying, right? Like, let's get everybody out here, in the nude if we're gonna be like showing people's bare ass, right? Because like it's so easy to selectively make Jimmy look bad, and then you just leave out all the bad shit that other people have done, and that's the thing that I always want to stay away from on this channel. If I have criticisms of Jimmy, I'll fucking air them, but I don't want to be a part of this kind of like echo chamber of like Jimmy Dore delusional bullshit, right? Where it's like anything that this guy says has to be wrong because anybody I disagree with is wrong on everything and anybody I agree with is right on anything. That's so childish and shallow in your analysis. And that's exactly what's happening to Vaush right here.
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, we talk about Jimmy Dore like we do literally any other commentator. We agree with him where we agree, and where we disagree, we expound on those disagreements. Pretty simple. But yeah, let's watch a little more of this.
Spaces or not. So with regards to that, I guess I understand that Dore felt like he was going in on you just for not fully committing, like it felt like he was calling you like a traitor and a backstabber. And I watched your video and it honestly seemed like a his engine, the steam engine, is drama and outrage, and just we're all fuel to that, and just eventually we have to be thrown in.
Well, I think his big contention was that he felt like.
Just to break in one time here, I do happen to agree with what Vaush is saying here. And if I was Kyle Kulinski, this is the point at which I would have gotten pissed off at Jimmy Dore, just to be completely honest. You put out your take, you wade into these waters, you put out this statement that doesn't really please anyone, and then, Jimmy Dore starts coming after you for not defending him enough, starts calling you a traitor and a backstabber and a shitty friend and all this stuff when, again, because you basically didn't come out here and just defend him 100%, even though you did defend him in certain regards. To me, that shit annoys me. It's like we're all our own commentators. We're all going to have various opinions on something. And it's upon us to say them, regardless of how unpopular they may be. So yeah, I get it. It was never incumbent on Kyle Kulinski to come out here and defend Jimmy Dore. And it would have annoyed me too, to be honest, if he was like, you didn't have the right take on this. How dare you not have the right opinion on this? Yeah, I get it. It's annoying.
Well, yeah, it did piss us off because he came in our fucking chat and was like, why aren't you fucking asking Ryan Grimm about this shit? Like, Jimmy does want a certain level of like fucking like do not fucking disobey me from people, and which is why we had to be like, go fuck yourself, because I'm not listening to anybody that tells me to fucking how to run my show. But anyway, I'm just saying, right, like that is the characteristic of the guy. He will get it. Like, this is a man that literally got into our DMs, a channel with like 18,000 subscribers at the time, and was bitching up a storm about our fucking coverage. That's real. That happened. So it lets you know what kind of personality this dude has. That is a fair point. That's bullshit. Like, go, like, do your own fucking show. Like, I mean, I don't fucking know. I have mixed feelings about all this because it is like massively petty.
Oh yeah, I have mixed feelings about it all too, which is actually why I'm somewhat sympathetic to Kyle in this instance, because it's clear he also has very mixed feelings about it. He had very mixed feelings on it, and it's tough. It's nuanced, and you don't want to come off like you're defending a sexual harasser or whatever either. So it's all very, complex and nuanced. But thank you for the $5. Absolute wonder. Go back and watch the video. Jimmy just wanted Kyle to get the story straight on it. Plus, TYT started the whole conversation on the allegations. And yeah, that's fair. Again, I just wish that, Jimmy had maybe contacted Kyle in private and said like, hey man, this is where I think you were wrong. Instead of like, making it this big public performance of drama and, this guy is a traitor, and it just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And it's like, I get it. Jimmy Dore has every right to defend himself, but he doesn't have to, make it incumbent on other commentators to do that job for him. That's just my opinion.
I didn't acknowledge that he, according to him, was, quote, blackmailed. That when Anna sent that message to Jimmy and was basically like, hey, listen, if you don't
say that wasn't blackmail. What a horrible, he was just wrong on that. That was not blackmail.
I will say this, though, and this is not in defense of Jimmy. This is just my attempt to objectively read the situation. Don't you find it questionable that the time Anna chooses to send that message is after when Jimmy's been beating up on TYT relentlessly on his channel? Now, by the way, a lot of those criticisms that Jimmy had of TYT, I think, are totally unfair. And I think they cross a line and they're dumb. And I mean, one of the things he did is like, oh, you're accusing me of misogyny? You're the real misogynist. Look at this video from like 2008 or whatever. And I was like, okay, rolling my eyes, like, come on.
Right.
So yeah, it's because if you've watched videos of Kyle in 2008, you're gonna fucking never ever watch secular talk again. Like, I mean, it is seriously fucking massively cringy. And my point back to those people is like, guys, do you just not think that any of your old views matter? Like, I get at some point you're like, okay, I don't care what you did in like 7th grade. But I mean, like, I am a 23-year-old man. I know what the fuck I believe, right? Gavin's a 23-year-old man. He's accountable for what the fuck he believes and says on the internet. Cenk was like 35 when he was saying that shit. Okay. Oh, so you're not accountable for the things that you say as a 35-year-old grown fucking man? Are you kidding me? Like, oh, you just get a pass because some time passed? Like, hey, that's great, Kyle. Forget everything that George Bush ever did. Let's run him for governor again. Yeah, that was a long time ago, Kyle. Who fucking cares about that? Let's get a fucking insert. Okay, maybe somebody that didn't commit war crimes but was still a fucking complete jackass. And let's play that game. Like, are you going to vote for them? Are you going to run in their elections? Oh, they've completely changed everything from 10 years ago. Who cares what they said 10 years ago? When you bring up the fact that X person voted for this bill a while ago, how long does it matter until it's irrelevant if we play that game, right? Like, oh, they voted for that 6 years ago. Now they've really evolved. Or like, oh, like, I think that's a slippery self-serving argument for Kyle because he had so many bad cringy takes when he was young.
Yeah, and honestly, it may not be legal blackmail. Like, it might not be literally legally blackmail, but still, I think effectively, it was basically saying like, hey, remember that, kind of cringy, maybe borderline problematic joke you made a decade ago or whatever. I'm going to resurface that and let everyone know, as long as you keep running your mouth about your criticisms of my news network. That genuinely is what it felt like to me. Not going to lie. So yeah, regardless of whether or not legally it's blackmail, I do think that was kind of slimy to trying to like weaponize this feminist issue in order to shut someone up about your wrongdoings. It is what it is.
Oh, 100%. Let me just read the definition of blackmail for everybody. The action of demanding payment or another benefit. This benefit in presumed terms would be not shitting on TYT every single fucking day from someone in return for not revealing compromising or damaging information about them, which is exactly what the fuck happened. So of course, it probably wouldn't hold up in a court of law because there was no specific demand. It was implied, but not a great look for Anna Kasparian or Cenk Uygur. And I mean, they're used to that, right? They have a lot of bad looks, but I'm just saying that there's to wipe that aside and be like, there's no way to call that blackmail. Like, I think that you can call that blackmail. And I think I could effectively argue that.